These photos look completely innocent. They're not. But if this is the kind of thing that smooths your concrete, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, turn on all notifications, do some naughty things to that like button. On with the show. In August of 2010, a man named John Myers and his family decided to take a family vacation out to Madison, Wisconsin, because they were going to attend a friend's wedding. On the day of the wedding, they decided to take a family picture before all the festivities and everything just got crazy. So everybody sets their stuff down, their purses, backpacks, bags, all their personal effects, set them down. He busts out his digital camera, sets it up on the tripod, sets up the timer, boom, snaps a family photo. After they had taken the photo, they turn around to grab their stuff, and it's all gone. On a hunch, he grabs the digital camera, starts going through the photos, and that is when he finds the photo that completely shocks him. He immediately calls the authorities. He turns it over to them after explaining the situation. They look at the picture and they just kind of have a laugh. In the background of the picture, you can clearly see somebody going after their stuff. And the worst part of it is they end up recognizing this individual as 59-year-old Glenn Lambright. So they quickly tracked him down. He, of course, still had all their stuff, and he was charged with misdemeanor theft. The Myers family got all their stuff back, and they had a lovely time at their friend's wedding. Down in Southern California, they have what is called poppy season, and just as the name suggests, it is when the state flower, the poppy, begins to bloom all over the southern desert. I've actually seen these flowers firsthand. They are absolutely gorgeous, and they only bloom in the southern parts of the Mojave Desert of California. I saw them during a trip to Death Valley, where you're driving along the road and people will end up stopping just so they can get out of their car and take pictures with their camera. I'm not entirely sure where this takes place, but it's during poppy season where a family decides to go out onto the side of the road, a man, a wife, and their dog, and take some photos of the flowers. As they're taking the picture, the woman would let out a sudden shriek as she feels this sharp, burning pain on her leg. And chaos just immediately erupts as she falls to the ground with her leg in pain, and their dog starts snarling and growling at something in the grass. So while the husband tends to her, he looks over at what's going on with the dog, and the dog has a rattlesnake in its mouth. So just simply deducing what had happened, she must have gotten bitten by the snake, and then the dog, wanting to defend its owner, attacked the snake. Now, while it did end up killing the snake, unfortunately, the dog would not make it, but they were able to rush her to the nearest emergency room, and she was able to make a full recovery. Looking back at the photos, however, they find something truly shocking. As you can see in this picture, as soon as it snaps, the snake is mid-strike. Again, luckily, she was able to make it out alive. Unfortunately, they did lose their dog, so I guess always be sure to check the tall grass. The court case surrounding this last photograph is technically still ongoing, so everything is alleged, but there is some strong evidence to the contrary. March 19th of 2023, a woman named Leticia Martinez would happen across a young man at her local Costco by the name of Brett Gitchell. Now, the first thing that stuck out to her about this young man was that he was wearing a Seattle Mariners cap, and she was a huge Seattle Mariners fan, wearing a Mariners sweater at the time. The two would strike up conversation, and she would invite him to the next Mariners game, which was on the 31st of March, I believe it was. Now, Leticia doesn't get out a whole lot. She has a 24-year-old son who has special needs, so she doesn't end up going out a whole lot. So she decides to take a chance and ask Mr. Gitchell to the game. Unfortunately, it would be one of the last things she ever did. On April 1st, 2023, one of Leticia's friends would get a text message from her phone saying that she had a good time, she was done with the game, and that she had run into an old boyfriend, not Mr. Gitchell, and that she was going to be spending time with the old boyfriend. Her friend texted back, okay, cool, see you later. She would get another message around 6 p.m. that day saying that she was going to be babysitting for a friend, something that she had already had in the pipeline for that day. However, at the same time that she had gotten the message saying that Leticia was babysitting, she had texted the family she was going to be babysitting for that she had to cancel babysitting for them. We've got something very strange going on here, and it's only going to get stranger. Around 2 a.m. at about April 4th, I believe it was, Leticia's son, 24-year-old Patrick, would get a knock at his door. And I'm not talking about knock on his front door. He got a knock on his bedroom door. So his door's closed, front door's locked and closed. Somebody comes into the house to his door, knocks on it. He opens the door and he doesn't know who this guy is, but he's assuming it's a neighbor friend of theirs because he knows his mother, knows quite a bit about his mother, and he says, hey, your mother, Leticia, she's in the hospital and she asked me to come and get you. Not thinking too much of it, he just says, okay, cool. And he gets in the car with this gentleman. He doesn't know who he is. And they drive towards the hospital. But he would end up taking a detour. This gentleman would say, I have to get out of the car for X, Y, and Z reasons. And then this person would throw a bag over Patrick's head in an attempt to delete him. He managed to lay on the car horn so that he was starting to get attention to the people that were around. So the stranger, not knowing what else to do, he just takes Patrick, throws him out of the car, gets back in his car, and then drives away. Now Patrick went ahead and he called the authorities and he went down to make a statement at the police station. After this incident with the police and the stranger, he decides to go to his uncle's house, his uncle Ricardo. And now Ricardo has been getting strange messages from his sister this whole time, and he's pretty sure it's not his sister who's messaging him. But now that this situation had happened with his nephew, I have to put in a missing persons report. It's too weird at this point. At the same time, however, the fire department was called to a car on fire. And as they were putting it out and trying to figure out who the car belonged to, it was an SUV registered to Leticia Martinez. Now, she wasn't in the car, mind you, but a lot of stuff is just really not adding up, and everybody is just super concerned for Leticia's safety at this point. Now you're probably wondering, well, what about Gitchell? Well, he was arrested on a completely unrelated charge for jewel robbery at the local Costco. The Costco where he and Leticia had met a couple weeks prior. Now, when they were going through his cell phones and going through surveillance videos and trying to track his movements, that was when they discovered that his cell phone in the geolocation, whatever, had pinged next to her cell phone, so that they were together throughout this whole time. Checking his location, they saw that he was in the mountains somewhere, just this emptiness, nothing around. They go out there, they would find Leticia Martinez's body unalived and strangled to death. As they were questioning Gitchell about Leticia, they had asked him if he'd ever seen her before. And now they have the video evidence from the surveillance at Costco, and they said, well, here, you two are interacting. But he can still just say, well, we're both Mariners fans. We're talking about going to see the Mariners. Then they pulled up this photo that Leticia had taken while they're at the Mariners game. And it was after he saw this photo that he realized he was screwed. From what I understand, his trial has not happened yet, so this is still allegedly, but the evidence is pretty convincing. Patrick is doing okay, who now lives with his father in Texas. Hopefully they'll all be able to heal from everything that has been going on. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. If you have any photos that you'd like me to talk about, go ahead and put them in the comments below. Subscribe, hit the bell, turn on all notifications. Make sure to do some naughty things to that like button, and we will see you in the next one.